Welcome back to Getting Started with Linux. I'm your host, Daniel Lowrie. Today's episode, we're looking at command paths, joined by our good friend, Mr. Ross Brunson. Ross, we're glad to have you back. Thanks. But I'm glad I got you here, and I'm glad this is the episode because it's been killing me. Ever since you showed the which command, you said that it was searching these different paths for the command that you were looking for. And my mind went, where are these magical paths, and how does it know to look through them?
Okay.
I pose this question to you, sir.
So, excellent. I will attempt to take you in the right path.
Excellent. I see what you did there.
There you go.
You.
Dad jokes. So when we talk about a path is effectively set in the system-wide Etsy profile file. So /Etsy/profile. We'll look at it in a second. Or the path, that's for everybody. And then it can be set locally, differently, slightly changed or whatever, in the the dot profile file in the user's home directory. Notice that dot, that means it's supposedly hidden. Now, the reason why the path is important and the which command can depend upon it is because when it's set, it says this is where I will go and look for commands or executables that you type. So if I were going to do, LSB and then tab, the shell is looking in the path for LSB and anything that matches that string. That's why it would come back and show me the LSBLK and various other things. Yeah. Some of the LSB, USB, and stuff like that. The anything that starts with that particular string, if it's in the path. Now, it won't go search the entire system. It'll only search the set of directories that make up the path.
Okay.
So that's very important because let's go ahead and jump over and take a look at my actual path statement. So that's going to be in the Etsy profile file. So we'll look at Etsy profile tab. And then we'll go ahead, as a matter of fact, it happens to be right here because we've been looking at it. The path equals and then the contents of what it ought to be. Now you'll see if you were to go through this entire file that it will start out at the beginning with a particular path, and depending upon what's been added to the system and how you've configured it, you might have additional path entries that are added onto it. So what you see as the first entry in the Etsy profile file may not be what you get when you get to the end of it. It typically adds to it.
So it's being kind of aggregated from different sources.
Pretty much. And it's the last one that is the one that sets whatever it is. Okay, so if you have 6 of them in there, whatever the last one is, that's the one that it happens to be. So let's quit out of this and let's take a look at the user's .profile file. Remember that dot, that means it's in the user's home directory and it's hidden. Okay, so we'll look at that profile file and we'll search for capital path just to see there is nothing being set, since I can't find it, in the user's local .profile file. That means this particular user is borrowing the one from the overall system itself. Okay, so that means that when we're looking at the actual path, we'll go ahead and echo $path because it's uppercase, it's a system variable. And it comes back and it shows me that I have 4 entries in there. Home tux bin, user local bin, user bin, and bin. Now, the relationship between all of these is laid out in the file system hierarchy standard, etc. But my bin directory is typically for utilities that I happen to have. Home tux bin says if there's anything that's special to just me, that's where it looks first. And so this is looked at in the order of them being in the path. So if I have 2 conflicting files, one of which is a script and one of which is an actual program, I'm going to get whichever one is in the first entry, the closest entry to the start of my path.
So it kind of works itself from top to down. As soon as it finds a match, it runs it.
Yeah, so I could actually go create some sort of file in my home tux bin, type which, and it'll show that, and it'll show the one that I was supposed to be using.
So you got to be careful with this.
You do, and the reason why you want to use which and you want to use the path is because users will do something like that. They'll think they're configuring it properly, and instead of running an important system command, they're running something that they should never have run.
Right.
And this is also a way that people can actually hack into users' accounts. Here, download this and put it in this directory. It'll make your life easier. Right.
It makes my life
a lot
easier
more vulnerable.
Hacker, right?
The other thing that happens is if in my current home directory here, let's say that I decide I'm going to create a quick little script file.
Okay.
Right. So what I might do is I'll do script 1. And in script 1, I'm going to do just very simply a couple of commands. So I'm going to do the ls command, and I'm going to do the clear command, and then the ls-l command, just for fun.
Okay.
Right? Now, I'm not creating a completely proper script here. I'm just doing something really, really simple. We'll talk about all the things that need to be in a script a little bit later on in one of the other episodes. So what we'll do is we'll save this, and if we do an ls-l on script 1, you'll see that script 1 doesn't have any executability. Executability would mean that it's green in the colors, and also here in one of these areas there would be an X there, an X there, or an X there. That would be the first one here if I'm going to run it myself. Right. So the way that I can do that is I can say, well, let's make it executable. So therefore, I should just be able to run it. Well, actually, it's not quite that simple. So chmod plus X, and then script 1, do that. Well, do that again. So now you see that there are X's all across. That means it's executable. By all rights, if I was a Windows user or somebody who wasn't very familiar with the system, I would simply think I should just run script 1. So I can type script 1, nothing happens. There's a security feature that most inconveniences are security features, and vice versa, where you cannot run something that's not in the path unless you prefix it with a few certain characters. So for example, in order to execute script 1, I could type home tux script 1. Notice it tabbed it out, and it runs. That's the full path to the command. What I can also do, because it's in my home directory here, is I can say dot forward slash and then script 1. Dot forward slash is effectively the relative path name version of giving it the full path. This is so that people don't have you download binary scripts and other things, script files and binaries into your user home directory, and then they access it through Apache or something else like that. Okay, so if I do this, then it does exactly what I wanted it to do. So remember what we were talking about was got to have that path. If something isn't in the path and it's executable, you have to say either dot forward slash run this here, or give me the full path and file name to it.
All right. Well, I guess that begs the question is, what if I wanted to add the current path that I'm in? Maybe I'm going to put a bunch of scripts here, and I'm going to lay them here, but they're not in the path. Am I going to have to continue to put the full path name every time I want to invoke that script? Or can I change the path to add this directory?
It's a very good question. The typical answer for that, the caveat is never, ever, ever add your home directory. Okay, so anytime you see a single dot in the path, that actually doesn't mean the home directory. It means any directory I'm in, and that's a security issue. So you don't want to be running around the system, and anywhere you are, you can execute anything you want to. This would be a problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we'll switch over to our system, and we're going to do an echo $path, not the Parthenon path, and you see what my path is. If I want to, I can add some directory of some kind to the path. And so what I do is I type path, because I'm declaring the variable again, equals, and so the left side is the variable, the right side is the contents of the variable. And oddly enough, we can put the current path in, which means I don't have to type all that stuff again, the colon character, and then some directory like that. So now if I hit enter and then I go back up to my echo path, you'll see that /sum/dir is in there. And this is only for the process of until I type the exit. If I typed exit right now and go back out of this terminal app, that's gone.
So this does not persist.
No, if I want it to persist, it has to go into the .profile file. Or if it's something that I find out, well, this is useful for all my users, let's go ahead and put it in the /etc/profile file for all users.
Excellent stuff. This can definitely make things a lot easier for us when we start writing our own scripts and start working with commands, looking for paths, seeing if this isn't running, maybe the path isn't relative or a part of our path variable. So good stuff for us to be aware of and can look into and even modify if necessary. Thanks so much for joining us, Ross. We got more to come and getting started with Linux, so join us then. As for this one, we'll see you next time.